What's up, guys? Jades cornerback here again with another Teen Wolf the Movie video, and this one's going to be a bit on the more negative criticism side today. And in today's video, we're going to be criticizing the GOAT himself in many people's eyes, Jeff Davis. Now, in the Teen Wolf community and pretty much anybody who's a Teen Wolf YouTuber, it's pretty much a sin and a crime to criticize Jeff Davis. But I'm not one of those people who like to just take everything for what it is. I like to criticize and I like to call out things when they need to be called out. And yesterday, if you guys watched my last video, you know that video was about Jeff Davis putting out potentially the base cast list for Teen Wolf the movie and all the characters he had in mind for wanting to bring back. And I talked about the positives and negatives of that. I was pretty much extremely fair in that video, saying that yes, there were some good things that Jeff talked about that I really did like, but there were some extremely bad parts that had me a little bit worried for the film's sake. So today we're going to be talking about Jeff Davis and the problem that surrounds him, and that is bad fan service and caving into the community's demands rather than coming up with an actual good story that makes sense as a continuation to the series. So if you guys are ready, make sure you sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Okay, so Jeff Davis, we all know he created Teen Wolf and came up with the idea for the series on MTV back in 2008, and then the series was finished around 2010, came out in 2011, 10 years ago, and the rest is history pretty much. He is now working on Teen Wolf the movie as we speak, if you keep up with his Instagram, which I left in the last video. So if you guys want to go follow him on Instagram, you can. You guys can just watch the last video. It's literally up on screen for the majority of it. He has been posting updates every now and then on Teen Wolf the movie, but just really been posting updates and throwback pictures. He posted himself, and I'm assuming the studio for Teen Wolf in LA, working on the film, working on the script, finalizing the casting decisions, yada, 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 all the good stuff, right? So what has me worried, and this is where I think Jeff Davis has a problem on his hands, is caving into the fans' demands. So the fact that yesterday when I pointed out that Malia wasn't on the list, but Allison was, that was extremely bad, because when we last saw Teen Wolf, Scott was dating Malia and both of them were happy as hell together, and Allison's pretty much been dead ever since season 3 of the show, and she hasn't really been that important to the show ever since. She's been referenced every now and then, you know, to keep the spirit of Allison there and to keep the memory of Crystal Reed on the series. But aside from that, she's not really a major player or a major force in any of the plot lines from season 4 to 6. I would say 4, she has a little bit more of a significant role because she's directly tied in to the destruction of the benefactor, and she's the sole reason for Kate's motivations in season 4 on top of other stuff. But aside from that, she doesn't really have that big of a role or that big of a presence in mainly season 5 and 6. I don't even think she's mentioned in season 6 that much. She's probably mentioned once or twice and then that's it. But other than that, they really don't focus on Allison too much because, you know, she's dead. But the fact that Jeff didn't have characters such as Parrish, he didn't have Isaac, he didn't have Malia, is extremely worrisome, because these are characters who have become fan favorites since their appearances in the show. And some of these characters are characters people want back and legitimately want written back into the story in a proper way and proper fashion for a long time. My biggest character that I want to return, and I think a lot of other people too, is Daniel Sharman, because he's the OG character who we haven't seen in the longest time. Before that, it used to be Jackson, but we got Jackson in Teen Wolf season 6. And the only character aside from Jackson, well, Danny left the show because, according to Jeff, his character graduated high school already. So, yeah, don't think we're ever going to hear or see from Danny again unless Jackson brings him up in some way, shape, or form. But the character that we just got no information on, we don't know what happened to him or whatever. And Chris didn't even mention what happened to Isaac when he came back in season 4 is, well, yeah, Daniel Sharman's Isaac Leahy. So Yeah, and the fact that a lot of people on Twitter that I've seen, a lot of people on social media in general, are freaking out because Jeff put Allison, and they're like, "We want Allison, we want Allison," doesn't make any sense to me because Allison's dead, and I feel like because of the pressure of the Teen Wolf community as a whole and their demands of bringing back characters who died a long time ago and wanting to see them back badly, I think that Jeff is going to have a very tough decision to make, and it's going to, I don't want to say make a bad decision, but I think he's going to. I think he's going to end up putting Allison in the film some way, shape, or form. Whether that be the theory I came up with yesterday of the Dread Doctors cloning her some way or somehow and just keeping that a secret for a long time with nobody finding out conveniently. I don't know if that's the route he's going to go, but I feel like Jeff is one of those people who, when the fans demand something really bad, and when the pressure gets too hot, I feel like he has no choice but to give into the demands, which is something that happened in season 6, part 1, regardless of how great that season actually is. There was a lot of fan service which the community wanted to see for a long time, and that whole season was pretty much fan service. Like, one of the questions that people wanted to know for a long time was, what the hell was Styles' actual name? We found that out in season 6, part 1. Another thing that people wanted to see for a long time that was literally going around the community, and MTV even promoted this when this episode premiered live. I remember because I was there watching and I saw all the hashtags on the screen. Stydia. Stydia was a ship created by the fandom, and it was one of the most requested things in the Teen Wolf community pretty much for the entirety of its run on television. And everybody wanted to see Stydia happen. And Jeff, what did he do? Cave into the demands of the fans and gave us Stydia. So Jeff Davis has a history of caving into the demands of the fandom. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when it's not beneficial for the story. When it's just caving into the fans' demands just to cave into them, just to satisfy people, and it doesn't really make any sense, that's when it becomes bad. Like, for me, I have no problem with Allison coming back. Personally, I wish they never killed her off. I wish they would have written her off the show instead. That would have been a much better send-off for Allison if Crystal really wanted to leave the show, which killing her off didn't really make any sense, as I mentioned yesterday, because Crystal Reed came back to the show a year and a half later anyway to record stuff from Marie Jean in Teen Wolf Season 5, Part 2. So, yeah, I really think they should have just wrote her off. I think killing her was a terrible decision, and it marked the downfall and continuous downward spiral, or at least that was one of the factors that marked the continuous downward spiral of Teen Wolf, getting rid of and killing off OG characters that people have grown an attachment to. So, yeah, fan service ain't a bad thing, but when you do it just to cave into the crazies on Twitter and the crazies on social media who just want to see characters back for the sake of seeing them back, rather than coming up with ideas of how they can actually benefit and fit into the story, I think that's detrimental to the story you're trying to tell, because then it just turns into a 2-hour long film of fan service but no substance. The best example of this is, in my opinion, Avengers Endgame to a degree. There's a lot of fan service in that film, but the third act, looking back on it, it was kind of a lot of fan service, but with it wasn't that significant of no substance, but it was definitely a lot of fan service in the third act. Definitely caving into a lot of the demands that people have wanted to see for years, such as Captain America saying "Avengers Assemble," Captain America wielding Mjolnir. That was a theory going around the community for a long time before Endgame that Cap was going to do it at some point, and it actually happened. So, yeah, as long as it benefits the story, I don't have a problem with it. But when you just do it just to do it, and you just do it just to please a small amount of people, it could really be a detriment to your film. Just a little criticism for Jeff Davis right there. Now, the other side of the argument that I have is storytelling. Now, Teen Wolf has had a huge problem with storytelling since season 4, in my opinion. I think that after season 3 and after killing Allison, I think that the show pretty much went in the wrong direction. I think that they should have taken the first half of season 4 to just mourn Allison and have her death have a way bigger impact. I think that they kind of just skipped over it and they just got straight to the action rather than, dealing with the full consequences, especially Scott, of losing his girlfriend, losing the love of his life pretty much. And we didn't really see an emotional impact visibly from him aside from like the divine move in season 3, part 2. But yeah, that's just one of the many issues of the storytelling that Teen Wolf has had. I can get into a lot of other things, but I don't want this video running for like 30 minutes. Another thing that you guys all know is the confusing storyline of season 5. The way they set that whole season up was extremely confusing for a lot of people. I always have people in my comments saying, Jade, I don't like season 5 because the plot's way too confusing. And although personally I love 5B because I think that season's awesome, I can understand the criticism of why people are confused with Teen Wolf Season 5. The way they just formatted scenes and the way they placed everything, it just made everything way too complicated for no reason when they could have just gone more of a straightforward route like they did with Seasons 1 through 3. And this ties back into the issue that I have with the storytelling. It was not as effective in the later seasons as it was in Seasons 1 through 3. And I feel like this could carry over to Teen Wolf movie as well, because Jeff and the right if you guys watch my Teen Wolf News debunks videos, which I don't do anymore because I don't have an issue with Teen Wolf News, that was when I had a little bit, not beef, but I had a little bit of an issue with Teen Wolf News' content. But this was all the way back like 5-6 months ago in May, right? And I was like, bro, Jeff didn't even come up with the Lowenmensch. He had his writers team do it for him. Like, we all know that Jeff originally had Garrett Douglas in mind to be a werewolf. That was always what he stated in interviews. He always called him a Nazi alpha werewolf. But during the production of season 6, the writers team all disagreed with him, or really it was Will and Eric Wallace, and they decided to come up and use some German figurine and then turn it into an actual creature called a Lowenmensch, and that's how we got Garrett Douglas becoming a Lowenmensch on Teen Wolf, and the rest is pretty much history. You guys can go look that history up if you want to. But this is what I mean. Like, I feel like Jeff is not going to have full creative control over what he wants to do. If he has a legitimate story that is badass, that's cool. I want to see that story come through, but I don't want anybody's outside influence really affecting that too much. Like, if he has a story that makes sense, completely gets rid of the Tamora Monroe stuff, because I do think we're not going to see that in this film. We're probably going to get references and mentions to it, but I don't think we're going to get the Tamora Monroe stuff at all, just because that plot synopsis kind of didn't mention Tamora Monroe at all. It mentions a completely different villain, not by name, but it hints at it. And if the film was going to be a continuation of season 6, I think that Jeff could have easily just said that when it got announced. But yeah, that's just another criticism I have, and the final criticism of this video. I just hope that the storytelling is good. I just hope that it's not convoluted, confusing, and yeah, those are just some of my concerns for Teen Wolf the movie based on yesterday's post that Jeff did. I think that Jeff definitely could make it work if he really just focused on the story instead of, I don't want to say instead of caving into the fans' demands, because there are some, fan demands that I do think he should take into account and really add to the story. Like, bro, if Isaac doesn't come back in this movie, it's basically telling me that he just doesn't care about the character pretty much, because the fact that he had no mention at all and like the characters completely forgot about him after season 3 is really disrespectful to Isaac being a central part of Scott's growth as a character in season 2 and 3, because they pretty much became brothers, especially in season 3 when Isaac literally became the foster brother of Scott and had to move in with him. Like, the fact that it's just mind-boggling to me that some of the decisions the show made that not a lot of people bring up, but I'm bringing up because it's a fair criticism of the show. But that's all I got for you guys today. Make sure you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace, love, and positivity as always. Make sure you guys subscribe to my second channel with great power. That'll be in the link in the description down below. It's a superhero channel, so if you're interested in me talking about things aside from Teen Wolf and other supernatural shows, you can go subscribe to that. Just did my Spider-Man No Way Home trailer reaction, so you guys can watch that on that channel. We're about to hit 200 subscribers on there, so yeah, get me to 200 subscribers. We're trying to get that channel over 1,000 subscribers, because yeah, if that happens, it's gonna be crazy. So yeah, and I'm Jades, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.